All right. Thanks, Otavio. I just want to compliment those last questions about the standards. You know, it's every time we talk about standards, there is like layers on top of it and all these kind of things. And the reason why we have these standards is to allow you to write your application independent of the vendor, right? And you know, there's different ways of doing this. There's a lot of it. We know it works because there's a lot of applications out there that depend on the Java VM, for example, that's independent from the OS behind. There's a lot of Java applications that's independent from the application server. And then you can say, you know, our friend over there said, well, you know, but in the end, I still have to do a little bit of, you know, some of that. Yes, you know, the good thing about this standard is that it allows you to do the direct integration with whatever vendor you want when you need that integration, right? But you know, most of your code will not depend on that. And what it allow you, you know, what was impossible before to migrate from one vendor to the next, it turns to be possible, right? Not necessarily magically possible, but you know, and that's important because we're going to be talking about now a little bit about containers, and this is a very important movement right now. And since most of, not most of you, but like maybe, you know, a group of you guys already doing Docker and everything, but there's a lot of people here that didn't raise their hands doing containers. So, you know, let me kind of give you a general overview and some of the things here. And it has everything to do with standards, right? Has absolutely everything to do with standards. You know, you all know here when, like we talked about software containers, right? But you know about the real world containers, right? Because you've seen those big boxes, right? Going through in the ports, in the you know, inside trucks or trains, right? You've seen those like big iron boxes that we use for shipping containers, right? And the real world containers completely change the way we do shipping in the world. You all know here how we ship things before the containers, right? Because you all here watched Titanic, right? Who watched Titanic here, right? Everyone watched Titanic, right? So you remember that moment where Jack and Rose, they were all, you know, in the cargo area of the ship, and they're running, all happy, blah blah blah. And you remember, you know, the hands in the window of the car. You remember all of that, right? You don't remember what was behind them. So behind them, you could see all kinds of boxes stacked on top of each other and things tied by ropes and nets, right? That's the way we shipped things in the past. It was like very, very manual work. And someone is marking the time? Yeah, okay, good. Because I forgot to mark. Okay, so we have all of these going on. It was very manual process, right? Very labor intensive. And it means that, you know, you wanted to ship something, you had to get to the port, and then, you know, you have all those guys looking what you had, and they had to tie it up like a bicycle, or, you know, the box and the other box and everything. And then at some point, someone, you know, after the Second World War, someone came up with this idea of having a big box, right? How hard it is to come up with that idea, right? Okay, it's easier to put a big box inside a ship, so let's make a bigger box, and let's make a humongous box, right? And then we can put this whole thing inside the ship. And this, you know, it's not only about the size, right? It's all the hookups and everything, so you can get the cranes, and the cranes can come in and move the things around. And once we did this, it completely changed the way we ship things. Right? Because instead of being a manual process, now you have those big the trucks come on the port, and you have the cranes that take the things from the truck and put on the ship, take out of the ship, put for customers, you know, it's approved from customers, put in the truck again, take out of the truck, put on the train, right? It's a whole process. It's an invisible revolution, right? Today we have only about 6% of the world's ships are container ships, but they carry 90% of everything that we use, right? You know, the microphone that's in your hand, the shirt that you're using, this chair that you have, that you're sitting on, all of those things have been transported using containers. Containers have been so efficient in doing all these that it's cheaper for you to fish salmon in Norway, send it to China to be chopped into pieces, and ship it back to Norway to be sold in restaurants, than it is to pay someone in Norway to chop the salmon, right? Because containers adds only cents to the final price of the product. And you know, it's completely changed everything, and we don't even see them, right? Well, we do see. There's even people living on containers those days, right? You know, there's so many of them, right? We pass by on the roads here from Huntsville to Atlanta, and we pass by this house, it's like a big container, right? Cut in the front. Actually, we had dinner in a restaurant in Dallas where, we were having dinner inside this big container because it was like a truck manufacturing place. So, containers are everywhere, but we don't actually see those things, right? So what does have to do with software? How do we ship software today, right? It's pretty much the same thing. You get to this, you were doing some software development like, this Java thing is pretty cool, right? So you say, you got your production guy, hey, we want to run Java now. And you say, how do you run Java? Well, you have to start Java like this. It's a JVM. You start like this. You stop like this. You do backups of the JVM like this. Okay, so I got it. That's fine. And then, comes Tommy Tribe along in the delay. Said, I saw Otavio talking about this Javaee server, right? So we should use Javaee here. Well, Java is different than Java, right? Yeah, it's different, but it's pretty similar. It's a Java VM also, but it's an application server. You run pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit different. Okay, so we can handle that. And you know what? And then you have this open source guy here to say, we should be using PHP. Well, PHP is Apache, isn't it? You can just run PHP inside Apache. That's easy. We know how to handle Apache. We can then do this. And then, comes along this Bruno guy saying, you have to use this issue tracker here. That's very cool. Redmine is written in Ruby. No Ruby here. We had to learn Java. We had to learn Javaee. We had to learn PHP. We're not going to do Ruby, right? We're not going to do any more of this thing here, right? We're going to do, it's too complicated for us in production to manage all of these, to guarantee everything's running. So we're going to stop this nonsense. Now, everything here is going to run on Tommy EE version, which version it is? 7. Version 7, right? And it's going to be on Java 7. And that's it. We're not changing this anymore for the next 10 years. Right? That's how things goes. Because there is a tension between developers and operations. Right? There's this big tension between those guys because developers, what do we do as developers? We do innovate. Right? We create new things. We do things differently. We innovate. And what operations does? Who knows what operations does? What do they want more? Keep things going. Thank you very much, sir. They want stability, right? And so every time, what is the biggest problem against stability? Change, right? So every time you change something stop working. So what happens? Production says no change. And then you get some guys like him, I'm still using Java 6, right? Because someone decided no change, right? It's not because you have to run it. It's because someone does not want to change things. And that's why this whole concept of DevOps, right? Who has here heard of DevOps? Yeah, developers plus operations working together, right? And everyone, we talk about DevOps, we think about, now we're going to have this cool thing, right? We're going to have this one single team that's going to do everything. That's DevOps team, right? The truth is, most companies have like a dev team, an operations team, and now we're going to have, we're going to merge together in one team. So they create a third team, like the DevOps teams, right? So now, before you have the dev fighting with the ops, now you have the devs and the ops fighting with the DevOps guys, right? The problem with that is that for us to actually have that, we need to have a common way to talk between those guys. So what is the common way? Containers. The same way that containers made it easy for us to do shipping. Containers are going to completely change the way we do shipping of software. Because now, you as a developer, do you want to change? So you get a Java application, you put inside a container, right? You get a Java 9 application, you put inside the container. You get a Javaee application, you put inside the container. You get your PHP application, you put inside the container. You get your Ruby application, you put inside the container. And you give to the production guy, here's my container. Production knows how to start a container, stop a container, back up a container, do load balance of a container, get the container from your on-premise, from your application, your laptop, and move into a testing environment. Get from the testing environment, put in your Jenkins for whatever you want to do. Get out of Jenkins, put on your production server. Take from on-premise and put on the cloud. Move into multiple cloud providers. You can do all of these with the containers. Because production, they have the tools to do this, right? They have the cranes and all the process to do all of these. Well, the same way that you'd run, let's say if you have this big box, like this big metal box, and you get into a port that does not have cranes, what do you do with it, right? You get like 20 guys to carry it like crazy and push into this little boat that doesn't fit, right? You need the tools to do this. The same way with containers, right? It's very good containers, great. We can use for lots of things, but if you don't have the tools, you can't do anything with that, right? So that's where we are right now. We are in a very, very important moment of software development because the shipping, the ships, right? When the real containers were introduced, there was very little, when the shipping containers were introduced, in a ship, you carry a few hundreds containers. Today, the largest container ship, they carry 15,000 containers, right? They are huge ships, right? So it's the same thing. The Amazon Container Service is about a year old. Google released the container service less than a year ago. Microsoft released their container service a few months ago, right? We're all, Oracle acquired a container company at the end of last year, right? They just announced their container solution right now. So, everyone is announcing their first ships of container are coming on. Now, if you guys are ready for packing your application inside a container, you are ahead of the pack, right? You're using... you're going to have some problems right now. Yes, nothing's perfect. A lot of things are still having to be adjusted, but you're going to be way ahead of the pack. So that's a very, very good moment for you to be experimenting and testing out of containers, right? So let me just quickly go through here. So I'm just going to go very quick here. But if you go to this URL here, jav.mn, javaman./dockerjee, you're going to get to our article. There's a series of 3 articles that go step by step, and we'll show you all of these. You can actually go do this on your time, on your machine, and you can run all of those containers for you, right? So let me quickly do this here. So everyone got it? Okay, I know some people are taking notes, but got it? Okay, javaman./docker javaee. Okay, so I don't know why the key's not working. Nothing's working here. Oh. Yolanda, you have a window in front of everything, so it doesn't work. That's good. That's great. All right. Okay. Does it work now? All right. Okay. So you all been used it about containers here, right? Because you all, a lot of you raised their hand that you use Javaee at some point. So there's a lot of containers in Javaee, right? So you know how I was looking for that time right there. Which time is work? There's 2 different times. You say 3 minutes, that one says 5 minutes. I'm going to use the one that's longer. Sorry about that, right? So, you're using with the Javaee containers thing, right? So why we have Javaee containers? Because now you can have your Javaee application, and you can move your application from one container, from one vendor, to another container for another vendor without changing the application, right? One cool thing here. Let me. A lot of people ask us, has been Java good for Oracle? Has been Oracle good for Java? Let me just have parentheses here. A lot of people ask if Oracle has been doing good things for Java or not. And yes, Oracle has been doing great things for Java. OpenJDK is way better now than it was in Sun's time. The JCP is way more active than it was in some time. So there's a lot of good things that Oracle's been doing, right? But as you see here, you see the Java 2 EE server. That's old. You know why? Because Oracle changed the thing. It was like this. It's not like this. Pretty boring, isn't it? I kind of prefer the colorful ones, right? So okay, so that you know, let's keep the fun in Java, Oracle, please. All right? Okay. So you know, you have all these containers for Javaee, but what about the application server itself, right? You know, you have to configure application server, install the application server, configure the operation system underneath it. If you want to move your application server from one vendor to the next, what do you do? Right, you reinstall everything again, right? You go there, you install your application server, you reconfigure everything. So that's why, let's kind of skip here. That's why if you want to do in a higher level, right, we can actually have what we call the Docker containers. We can pack the whole application server inside a container and ship that thing, the whole thing, instead of having a lot of configuration, right? So let's see how that works. You know, you got Docker. You saw Otavio typing here, and you have, you know, let's say you have your Java EE application, your war file here, right? So I'm just passing as an argument here, and then you can build your container, right? So with that command Docker build, right? And you know, I'm gonna give a name to it, right? So I'm giving a name to this image, Tommy war, right? And so I'm gonna pack it right. How do I actually do this? There's one more thing. Did you notice what just happened? Did something change it here? From here? From here? Oh, there's a little dot there. Yes. So this dot here, it means that we have a file called the Docker file in this directory that defines what we want to do, right? What we want to build. So Docker allows you to script what you want to construct, right? So here I'm saying, you know, I'm starting from an existing image, that's Tommy EE image. I'm adding some configuration for my high availability settings. I'm adding some users, right? You know, I'm just kind of doing some basic configurations here just so we can do the demo, right? And then I'm adding the JDBC jar for Postgre. And look here. Here I add my war file. Remember that I passed as a parameter my application? I'm adding my war file. Once I finish this process here, what happens is that I created what we call an appliance. I create an image that contains the application server with all the configuration and my application, all pre-configured, ready to run. Right? So now I have this thing ready to run, and what do? I can just run it. Right? I can create a, you know, object-oriented, right? So you know there's classes and objects. Classes is the definition. The object is the thing running, right? So the same thing. The image is the definition, but when I run create, I create an instance of it and it starts running. So I create 1, I create 2, 3, right? So I have 3 application servers running inside containers. And then I can create another one. This one I'm using a pre-made image that I'm just going to download from the internet. I don't need to do anything, just do this. It automatically downloads the image from the internet. And it has some special configuration, like there's a little file here with some special configuration, and that creates my load balancer. So I have 4 containers running my application, right? They're not running yet. You know, I have to start them, right? So I do Docker starts, all those 4 guys, or I could even do, just instead of create and start, I could just run this Docker run, that creates and start at the same time, right? So with this, I just created a fully, a complex system, right, with 3 high availability containers running Tommy E, plus a load balancer that will distribute the load to those guys, right? So you can hit the browser here and access any of the guys. I just did this with 4 commands, right? So I don't need to go and kind of install things, configure things, blah, blah, blah. Everything can be run inside Docker. And the good thing now is that I can get that stuff and do even more than that, right? You know, the cool thing about Docker is that it has a registry, it has a repository where all I have a lot of pre-made containers in the internet, right? So I can actually just go on the internet, all of my Docker containers, and I can just say, well, I need a TommyE application server from right there. I need a Postgre database from right here. I need a ActiveMQ messaging system from right there. I need a Cassandra NoSQL database from somewhere else. I'm going to just tie all of those guys. Oops, what did I do? Sorry about that. It's a sign, right? Because time is up, right? So, I can just get all those containers from all kinds of places and just connect all of them with each other, right? And once I do this, what do I get? I get my full system configured, ready to run, easy to do. Now, the cool thing is, I'm doing this in my laptop. I can just run the same 4 commands and run it on my test server. I can run the same 4 commands and run my production server. I can run the same 4 commands and run an Oracle container service. I can run the same 4 containers and run any other provider with their container service. And then I can really have this thing running anywhere that I want, right? So, just the last thing I'm gonna tell you then is that if you guys, I'm just gonna close. Okay, where is? Oh, you close all the windows? No, right? Where's my windows? Okay, let me just kind of come here, right? What we're doing here during the tour, let me just kind of quickly give you then a gift for everyone. During the tour, we got one of our sponsors to give you a very, very good container platform that you can test out with. And you can test it very easy to use. So you can just come here to this QR code or this URL right there. And you're going to get a special trial out, right, for this container platform from the guys from Jelastic, right? And on that container platform, I'm just telling you guys that it's so important for the container. You're going to get to this page right here. And once you get to this page, you can see our pictures. Yeah, that's all of us right there. Okay, right? You can come here on this part of the page, and you see you have all the application server that you have, that you can test with. So you can just here click any of these application servers, right? Just let's say Glassfish, for example, right? So the Oracle application server. You click on this thing, it's going to open up, name, email, say install. It's going to send you an email just to confirm your email, and you're going to get this application server running inside a container. So you can start playing around with containers, completely free, right? It's a special account that gives you way more benefits. So go through here to this URL I sent you instead of going directly on their trial, because through here you get way more resource that you can play with, right? So, the whole idea of containers will give you the means for you to get your development, innovate as a developer, but give to your production guys exactly what they need to experiment, to run the things, right? So they can have the tools to do that, right? I see some people taking pictures yet, so I'm just gonna get out of the way here. Yeah, I'll talk from here. So I talk from the guys on the camera. You guys can take a picture of the screen. All right, so that will give you the idea. So the whole discussion around DevOps, it's very good. You're gonna see a lot of discussion around DevOps, but in the end, DevOps is this integration between developers and operations, right? Developers and operation not as the same team, but developers and operation working together to do what? To deliver software to the end users, right? So with that, what we can do is instead, for you to have this good integration, what you do is you use containers as the interface for all of that. Okay? So thank you very much, guys. Thanks.